Hello and welcome, beautiful souls. It's Rebecca Davison, intuitive coach and mentor, founder of the Intuitive Life Academy. Welcome to this video, which has been a wee while coming actually, and I have been asked about this quite a few times, but I've been meaning to shoot a video on it for quite some time. And of course that video is about how I manifested my dream house. So I've lived in this property now for about 10 years, I think. 2009, yeah, was when I moved in. So let's go back to the process. So first of all, when it comes to manifesting something that it is what you want, we need to identify that, right? So the first thing, of course, that I did to manifest my dream home is start looking for it. And it was interesting to see the events that had unfolded prior to even thinking about it. I had been to visit a friend in the neighborhood, and I'd been to his property and I'd been really impressed. I had been like, and again, I live in Christchurch in a place called Sumner in New Zealand, and it overlooks the water and it has beautiful views. I'll put some photos in this video so you can see. So it is a beautiful part of the world, a beautiful part of the country. And it's relatively exclusive out in Sumner, right? It's known as an area that, has a higher price value, house value. So when I first started looking, I was definitely in the energy of, this is beyond my budget, right? This is beyond my price threshold, especially to buy something that you really liked. But it was interesting to note that, right, that I'd been to a friend's place. I had been really impressed. He had an amazing view, absolutely loved it. So it kind of planted a seed. And then, of course, what I did from there is I started looking in the area and looking at houses that I liked. And of course, you know what you do, especially when you're looking for a property, because property is kind of fun to manifest because it has the two, the two energies there of being personal, but also having a sense of detachment, which is kind of fun when it comes to manifestation, right? Because you really need to be in those, hold those two energies, although they may seem contradictory to each other, in the palm of your hand. So what I did, of course, is I looked online and I found this property. And when I first saw it, it was way out of my price range, like $100,000 out of my price range. And, I started to do a little bit of work behind the scenes. I started figuring out my own numbers to see how much money I could borrow to even be able to reach for it. And I think reaching for something is hugely important, right? You're not reaching by not looking. You're not reaching by not doing the numbers. So I sat down, worked out the numbers, figured out how much money I could borrow and do so comfortably too. You don't want to ever put yourself in, financial hardship, so to speak. But for me to borrow the sum of money that I wanted to as well, and to do it comfortably, really probably included having flatmates. And I was totally fine with that at that point in time. So I was looking at this house every day. What I would do is I would get to work, bless them, at where I used to work, that we had internet access, or I could jump online and go and look at the real estate website and look at it. And I imagined my furniture in there. I started to get attached to the house, right? I could see myself in it. So what I actually did is a couple of things. First thing that I did really was I asked my grandfather, who at that point in time had passed over, right? So he had left the mortal plane and he was in spirit, but he lived in this area with my grandmother. And he was also a carpenter, a very good carpenter as well. So he was really good with his hands, and he knew a sound investment when he saw one as well. So I prayed to him in spirit and I said to him, Granddad, can you please help me find a house, a place that would be suitable, that would be the best option. Now there was another property that was very similar to the one that I'm living in, but it was in a different kind of valley, Richmond Hill Road, for those of you who know the area. And I got attached to that too, but it didn't work out. And I actually got kind of mad with the real estate agent that they never called me and said, hey, somebody's putting an offer in. Are you interested in making a move at this point in time? And as I discovered later in hindsight, the house was probably about 2/3 of the size of this one. It would have lost the sun a lot earlier, and obviously, it wasn't ideal for me. But it was great practice and surrender, right? And realizing that if it's not for you, then it's not for you. So in regards to this property though, like I had been looking at it quite consistently, and it sat on the market for a really long time because it was actually, I know the people who lived here previously, bless them, they had gone through a separation process. So there's probably some energy there of not actually wanting to leave the property at all. But it was almost in the end like I felt like the house waited for me. So I'd asked my grandfather, I said, please help me to find a property that would be suitable, and put my intention in with him, knowing that he'd lived in the area, that he was a good carpenter, that he made wise decisions. I also wrote it on a back of a business card, like one of my own business cards, right? And I said something along the lines of like, dear universe, if this property is for me, then please have it unfold in the divine right way. And if it's not, then I ask for this or something better. And really, I would look at that often. I would look at the card often, and I was, every time I looked at it, I was putting energy into it. And, often I would be speaking to my grandfather and just kind of tuning in and asking for his opinion. So of course I took action, right, which was to come out and look at the property and talk to the real estate agent. And also, very importantly, get a feel for what the house was all about. I'm sure other people watching this video probably agree. You've walked into a house before and you feel the energy and you're like, yep, this is where I'm supposed to be. Now, I walked into the house and I loved it, but of course I'm still in the mindset of it's outside of my, it's outside of my budget. I love it, but I don't know if I can afford it. And I remember walking onto the balcony with my dad. My mum and dad came and had a look as well. Because, again, I refer to them for important decisions. So they came and had a look, and my dad walked out onto the balcony and he kind of started chuckling and he said, oh, this is a really good place for a gin and tonic because it looks out over the ocean. Again, beautiful spot. So I remember kind of in my head almost hearing like the sound of sold, right? And a bell kind of dinging, right? Sold, ding in my head when he said that. But at the same time, I was just open to the process. And I was cautious in the respect too that I still went ahead and ticked all the boxes, right? I got a building inspection, I got a valuation to make sure that I was making an important decision and getting advice and feedback in regards to what the market was doing. Now, I was really fortunate as well because a couple of things, interest rates were pretty low at that point in time. They have been for quite a while now. And also too, that the person who sold the house, they hadn't had that many offers, but also as well that the market had dropped. So because I had a valuation and I got a building inspection and there were a few things that needed to be done to the property, like I went in with a very reasonable offer. And of course, long story short, obviously it came to pass. But I'll never forget the day, 2 days, right, when the real estate agent called me and said to me, it's yours, it's all done and dusted. I remember I was walking down the street and when I got that phone call, feeling incredibly ecstatic. But most importantly, it was actually the day that I moved in. And this is the beautiful synchronicity and energy of manifestation. When I moved in, all the boxes that I had in the house, and again, the house is on a steep driveway, so it's got not easy access. And these poor movers having to take up a steep hill and then up a flight of stairs to drop all these boxes off. They did an incredible job, but it was a lot of hard work, and it started to rain a little bit too, which made the driveway a little bit slippery, but they did an incredible job. Anyway, so all these boxes inside the house, and the very first box that I go and open up, on top of the box there is a picture of my grandfather. And it was just one of those moments that was so touching because it made me realize that my grandfather was watching over the process, it was kind of like confirmation that he'd had a hand in the process. I had asked him in spirit to help me, and here he was responding and confirming that he had had a hand in the process. And of course, you know, out of all the boxes that I opened, the very first box, on the top of it there's a picture of my grandfather. I just picked the picture up and I took it to the window and I said to him, you know, what do you think of the view, Granddad? And again, the process of the manifestation, how it came to pass, because when I first looked at it, I did not think it was possible. Right? It was in my brain, because my brain was in the rational mind. I was like, well, that's not available to me because it's beyond my price range. But of course, I had set an intention and I was focusing and giving energy to this intention every single day. I was living in my future self by putting myself in the home. I saw myself in there having parties, having drinks on the balcony, having friends over. I was creating my future reality by giving it focus and attention. And of course, you know, and then I asked Spirit for help. I asked the universe by writing on the back of the card and saying, you know, being in the energy of detachment, which is like, I would love to have this, but I will be open to the universe suggesting that perhaps there might be something better. And of course, having that experience of having to let the other property go and realize, right, that wasn't for me, that was the best option for somebody else. And this was the best option for me. And this house is bigger and it was a lesser amount. And again, the timing of the market and how that all came together magically almost for me to be able to say, yes, I can make this work. And then of course, having that experience of moving in, and on the very first day, the very first box that I open, there is a picture of my grandfather, which of course I pulled out and gave him thanks for being part of the manifestation process. So totally magical experience. And if you are into manifestation and if you love to be in that process of synchronicity as well, I would definitely encourage you to go to my website, which is RebeccaDavison.life. I have a 5-video series that is all about getting your mind working in the right way and then activating your energy and activating your intuition so you can start become really good at manifesting. And again, manifesting is a often used word in spiritual circles, but what manifesting really is conscious creation, right? Is bringing your conscious awareness to what it is that you want to create, and then using all the energy and resources available to you from a vibrational point of view, bringing them together to help you move into that process. And of course, we need to get our mind, our body, and our spirit in alignment to have manifestation be a really seamless process. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I'd encourage you to go and check out RebeccaDavison.life, sign up for my newsletter, get those 5 videos, and get yourself started in regards to what it is that you want to create for your life. There's nothing I love more than seeing people step into the energy of choosing to live their big dreams. I see a lot of people in my world create things that they never thought were possible, and that is so much fun to live in that energy and vibration. If you like this video, please do click on subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can get more updates in regards to how you can raise your vibration and live a life of freedom, pleasure, and abundance. All right, folks, until the next video, bye for now. Bye.